Hello everyone, my name is Clover, and today we're going to be going through the design process of 4 characters. So, let's get started, shall we? So, this is our first character. Her name is Clover Rose, and she's one of the two main protagonists of this story. Um, and she's the protagonist that comes from the real world, which means that she lives in the same sort of world as we do. Like, you could see her walking down the street at any given time. But there is one thing different about her. It's that she picked up this book from her library at school, and it was actually a magical book that took her into a fantasy world. Yay! And so, essentially, what happens in that fantasy world is that she's told, hey, there's this dark queen. You should save us from her, and, not let her take over and stuff. And she's like, alright, cool. If it gets me home, it gets me home, you know? And so she's essentially like just going full tunnel mode, like tunnel vision mode, like this is what I have to do and I'm going to do it and I'm not going to let anything distract me until she meets a certain prince and she begins to develop feelings for the prince and it complicates her feelings about going home. So, she she does eventually get to defeat the Dark Queen and go home, but it's a very bittersweet thing. But in the second part of the story, she kind of mourns the loss of having this prince around. And, well, the prince does find a way to come to her universe. And so now she's having to figure out, oh crap, how do I make him blend in? Like, how do I teach him like stuff about our world and also deal with this creep that I've been dealing with for a while who's now getting worse for some reason. Like, she's basically trying to balance it all. Now, for her design portion, I wanted her fairy tale version to be very like stereotypically wizard. For her teenage, like for her regular outfit, I wanted her regular outfit to just be very casual, and for her prom outfit, I wanted it to be very like glitz and glam. Like this is her going full out on whatever she's got. You know what I mean? Um, and so yeah, that's really it for her part of the design process. And yeah. Now this was the prince that I was talking about. He is very much like your stereotypical like fairy tale prince. Like he's very kind, he's very sweet, he's very romantic, he's very like passionate too. And so like when he meets Clover, of course, he does the love at first sight thing like oh my love. Like he's very much the oh my god, I saw you and now I love you sort of thing. But, of course, since Clover hasn't, like, wouldn't be confessing her feelings until a little later, he kind of, like, respectfully, like, go, like, you know, like, he respects her, basically. Like, he respects her wanting to be friends until she says, hey, I'm in love with you, and, all that stuff. And, they do get to defeat, the Dark Queen together and all that stuff. However, in the second part of the story, he's the one who has the most amount of like character development and all that stuff. Like Clover's character development wasn't his world. Meanwhile, his character development isn't her world. You know what I mean? Like he gets to experience what the real world is like for the first time, and he's just like, what's going on? Like, what's. Like, he goes full Jack Skellington. Like, what's this? what's this? And he's at first very like joyful. He's still keeping to his fairy tale prince self, but then of course the creep appears and he's immediately like, "Oh, then I must win her affections." When that's not what he needs to do, because what he really needs to do is just be with her. That's really it. Like that's all. Like that's his character arc. Like he needs to learn that he's enough, basically. And so for his design, of course, I went very stereotypically Prince, and for his real world design, I went very stereotypically Jock, and of course, I went for a very like stereotypical tuxedo look. And yeah, that's really about it for him. Um, we're just adding the final details here, fixing the text, of course, because I kind of messed up. But you know, that's it. It for him. Now this is the Dark Queen that I was talking about. She is a very stereotypically like he's she's like a stereotypical Disney villain, you know? She wants to take over Everland and she wants to, you know, get those, you know, rebels out of her way, and of course she's very like tunnel visioned in her direction of take over Everland and take over, you know, the entire world sort of scheme. And of course, she's very theatrical, she's very bombastic. She's basically everything that you would expect from a stereotypical fantasy villain. And of course, she would have her own villain song, because why not, honestly? Um, but you know, she is supposed to be the like sort of like foil to like to Clover initially, because Clover initially is also very tunnel visioned in her direction of stop her, go home, don't let anything distract me. But where Clover learns to love someone from this world, she just kind of sits in her castle all day cackling to herself. Like that's it. Um Now for her character design, I wanted her to also be very stereotypically villainous. I wanted her to have very sharp edges. I wanted her to have very, very sharp features and all that. And I just wanted her to look pointy. I wanted her to look dangerous. I didn't want her to have any sort of like softness to her. And for her like overall like design, I did indeed include the like green eyes, cuz that's also very stereotypically like Disney villain sort of thing. And honestly, I just kind of wanted her to be the stereotypical antagonist, like the type of antagonist that you would expect. So, like, there's not much depth to her, but that's not really the point of her. You know what I mean? Um, but anyway, I'm just adding in the final details here and adding in the background. And you'll see in a second that I added a lightning bolt because, you know, evil, basically. And that's it. Now, here's the final character. And, what are you talking about, guys? He's totally normal. He's totally not a creep. What are you talking about? He's totally not a creep. He's totally not a creep. Okay, yeah, he is a creep. But you know, he's he's the villain for the real world, and you know what his name is? His name is Braden Smith. Literally the most average name that you could think of for a person. But, you know, his threat doesn't come in, you know, the way that he's packaged like um the Dark Queen is. And so he is very much the type that seems, like he's like the nice guy, quote unquote. He's the person who is, um, he's the one that's just like, oh, I just wanted to check up on you while he's like stalking you from like 5 miles away, like he's the type of character who is very obsessed with someone and who wants that someone for him and him alone sort of thing. And that someone is Clover. Yay. So, of course, he has to deal with the fact that the person that he's obsessed with has a boyfriend. And that boyfriend is Everett. And so he's, of course, going to be very jealous, very spiteful, very vindictive towards Everett. Meanwhile, he's going to be like, oh, like, I could do so much better than him, like it should be me by your side to Clover. And now, of course, for his design, I wanted him to be very much an average teenage boy. Like, this could be anyone that you could meet on the street. Like, and for his prom look, I, again, wanted this very, like, stereotypical teenage boy fit. Like, I wanted him to look as normal as possible. I didn't want him to look, you know, out of place. I didn't want him to look like he was going to be a threat. I wanted him to look like he isn't much of a threat. So that way, his tomfoolery could have more of a effect. And now, of course, we're adding in the details and all that, and the backgrounds. And yeah, that's about it for him. Now, here is everyone's designs, everyone's finished designs. I hope you liked watching this video, and if you did, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I also have a book out right now that you can buy at the link in my bio if you want to support me. And that's about it. Have a great day. Bye.